Hi everybody, my name's Alan. On behalf of the crew, I'd like to welcome you to another edition of Bridging Heaven and Earth. You know, recently I've had the real blessing and good fortune to be able to be in, you know, for me, kind of far off places around the world. You know, I spent some time in Germany, although not much. It was just more of a layover. And I spent about 2 weeks in Croatia, you know, former Yugoslavia or part of it. And, you know, a lot is different than California, USA, or where I grew up in New York, USA, or, you know, I went to school on the East Coast in a lot of different places. And, but the root, the heart of all the people we met and all the instances and all the situations was that people really wanted to, as we've talked about so much on the show, really feel love and share it. Really be part of a human family. You know, somehow we have traditions in countries, we have traditions in religion, we have traditions in families, we have traditions in a lot of things on this earth. And somehow it seems as we proceed on this life, in the busyness of this life, in the you know, the way we live our lives in homes and families and countries with different sexual preferences, different heights, weights, ages, countries. It seems like there's a tremendous difference between us all. But my experience was at the root, at the heart, at the base of every human being, you know, that I had the privilege of meeting on these trips, was love, was the desire to be happy in this life, and not happy occasionally when something good happened on the external world, or the weather was nice, or the tourism was good, or the ice cream tasted good that day, or the job came through, or, you know, the baby was born healthy, or, you know, all the things that bring us that temporary joy in this life. But the root, the heart, the core of all of us is about that unconditional love, to feel it, to feel the connection. And somehow we know it, and somehow all of us as human beings, no matter what we sometimes put before that, we know that, you know, basically we are love, and everyone is love, and all the beings on this planet, and all the forests and trees are part of us. that there is an experience that we can have in this life as human beings in every country, first world, second world, third world, all the separations we seem to give to almost everything on this planet. There is a heart, there is a root, there is a core, there is a center of us that's connected, that's unconditional love, that's infinite, that's inclusive, is the oneness, is that thing that, you know, in different places, different religions we call God, is that ultimate truth, is that life force. And somehow we're coming more into the recognition, each of us in all the countries around the world, that that's what we want, that that's what we have to, as individual human beings and as a human species, we have to know that truth. We have to realize that infinite condition, that unconditional love condition. We have to feel that love and we have to share that love. And, you know, the gift of being able to see that in countries with, you know, stones that people say are 5,000 years old, in churches, that, you know, there's an agedness that maybe isn't in so many places in the United States of America. But the people who walk through those churches and walk through those older places and those canals and those seemingly separate places, they all have that same connection. They all are part of the oneness. And more we want to know that oneness. And again, you know, people, you know, watch the bridging show, and we do the bridging show for that reason, to bring that energy, to bring that vibration, to bring people who are dedicating their lives in an unrelenting, unparalleled, impassioned way to feeling the love and sharing it, to vibrating that infinite, to vibrating that inclusion. And again, tonight's guests, we have three beautiful women in this earth, in female bodies. But even that we use as separations, but just beautiful beings of love. One, Ellen Watson, was a former guest on Bridging. If you want to see a beautiful show with Ellen and an introduction to her and her work and moving ventures and Spirit Dance Soul Song, and go to Bridging Show 289. So go to YouTube, go to the Bridging website, heaventoearth.com, and put in Ellen Watson or Bridging Heaven and Earth show number 289 with Ellen Watson on YouTube, Vimeo, the Bridging site, and you'll see a beautiful show. And Ellen is a founder of Moving Ventures School. She's a master teacher of Esalen Massage, Gabriel Ross 5 Rhythm Dance, Spirit Dance Soul Song, Holotropic Breathwork. She teaches literally around the world. She teaches in Indonesia, she teaches in Europe, she teaches in Croatia, she teaches in China, Japan, and has spent 30 years at Esalen Institute, which is in California, one of the world-renowned teaching and healing centers and workshop areas in the world. And she's just been a master teacher and a being of love and light for the last 30 years, more I think now. And again, show 289 with Ellen Watson, a beautiful show. And our second beautiful being is Daphne Tse, who's an incredible singer, songwriter, yogini. And she started singing at a young age, and she's studied music in Texas and Chicago. She studied kirtan music with Uttal and Daniel Paul. She's a photographer and a painter and a songwriter. She did one of the incredible pieces. Actually, Ellen did two incredible pieces for the art project, which I'll talk about a little later. And she has a new EP out called Mata, M-A-T-A, that is just a beautiful, beautiful manifestation of love, manifestation of feeling love and sharing it, about being part of that infinite, being part of that inclusiveness. And, you know, her dream is just to bring that love, to bring that light, to bring that dance and music. And she works with Ellen in Spirit Dance Soul Song as well. And the third beautiful being is Yasmin. And she's an Indonesian, Yasmin Muridan. And she's lived in Bali for the last 13 years. She also is the director of production for Moving Ventures in Indonesia. So she works with Ellen and Daphne. And she started out in a less privileged, underprivileged, I think is, you know, how we would describe it in a certain way. And through working with Ellen and other extraordinary teachers has realized the extraordinary gift of this love and then wanting to share this love and bringing her light to the world. So it's just, again, it's just an opportunity for us to come to know people from all over the world whose flame has been lit, who have recognized their destiny. We talk a lot about destiny and service, 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 to serve that greater good, to be part of that love, to be part of that whole, to feel the love and share it. And these three extraordinary female beings have recognized it and are dedicating their life and continue to dedicate their life to that. And also, as most of you know, on most of the shows we show videos. And tonight we have two beautiful videos of the work of Ellen, Daphne, Yasmin. Bianca and Ellen and Daphne and Yasmin have put together two beautiful videos. One Spirit Dance Soul Song and the other Moving Meditation Practices in Paradise. So two beautiful videos, two powerful videos. And also, as most of you know, we're in the middle of this extraordinary international healing art project that came as a dream, it came as a vision to us here at Bridging, that we would use the Bridging distribution network, the Bridging shows that go out all over the world on cable television, on Sky Channel, on YouTube and Vimeo, and the new Bridging website's beautiful, and all the shows are available through there. All 300 plus shows are available. That we would use this distribution system of this Bridging Heaven and Earth show, and anybody who wants to produce a new original piece based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth, any style, any format, any skill level, get it to us here. We'll put it on the shows. We'll have art project shows. We'll have art exhibits. Hopefully we'll get them into museums and galleries all over the world and in hospitals. And you know, there's been lately a tremendous influx of energy about getting it to Russia, getting it to Mount Shasta, getting it to LA, getting it to Indonesia, all the places to get this healing energy. And so far we've received over 450 already manifested pieces, all new original pieces based on the theme Bridging Heaven and Earth have come to us here in Santa Barbara. If you really, and I've said this on a number of shows, if you want to be inspired and uplifted and enlivened, go to Heaven to Earth Art, heaventoearthart.com, Heaven to Earth Art, and go page after page after page and see where these pieces came from. Acrylics, oils, sculptures, collages, glass, jewelry, all different sizes, all different shapes, from 2 to 92 of the ages of people who put them in, literally from every country on the planet. And everyone is welcome. It's about inclusion. It's about the infinite. Everyone is welcome. No skill level required. Just the intention of being part of a collaboration, a creativity, a healing, a love of oneness. So join us. And tonight we have two beautiful photographs that Ellen's taken and one beautiful that Daphne's taken that are part of the project. If you go to the website and look on the artist page under Ellen, you'll see she's done 4 pieces already, I think. And Daphne did this one beautiful piece that she took in Hawaii. So an incredible opportunity for us to be together, again, all of us, to feel the love and share it. So join me in a short meditation, then we'll have the first beautiful video that's been put together, Spirit Dance Soul Song, and then we'll have Ellen and Daphne and Yasmin and just love, love, love. Okay, so join me in a short meditation. Okay, thanks everybody. So that felt nice. So hope everybody's settled in. First video put together by Ellen, Daphne, Yasmin, and Bianca. Spirit Dance Soul Song. Enjoy. Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was a beautiful video. So now we're here on the set with Ellen. Welcome back. So
Thank you, Alan.
And Daphne, welcome for the first time. And this beautiful piece of art, this photograph you see, Daphne took in her trips to Hawaii. Why don't you talk a little about that and what it meant to you in that island?
So this is the island of Kauai, and I was there last month doing pre-production for my new album. And so this is the beach I would go to every morning to jump in the ocean and just cleanse, do meditation on the ocean. And every time I would sit with this piece of art and just see how I feel like it's a she, and how she just, over time, her merged with the flow of life. It wasn't like she tried to stand up every time, just like see she's being held by the rocks and moving with the wind as the wind goes through her hair, I would say. So it's a special place for me to find that place of the feminine aspect of the divine, of Ma. I feel like it's a very Ma energy. Yeah, so I found that to be my little place of solace in the morning before I go to the studio and record. And
it's called Going with the Flow.
Going with the Flow, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it was good every morning to remind myself that that's what I need to do.
Exactly. So, that's a good idea to start the day, to go with the flow.
Very good reminder. So, right. Yeah. And I'll be back there in November. I'm doing a crowdfunder for my new album. So I'll be back at that beach for a month, November, December.
Wow, lovely. So welcome back, Ellen. It's good to
Thank
see
you,
again.
Alan.
So tell us a little bit what you've been doing, and you've been kind of moving a lot towards, working with Daphne and Yasmin on Spirit Dance Soul Song, more of a focus. Why don't you talk about that a little?
All right. When I was a little child, dancing came natural. Nobody, including me, really thinks about it when young. And through my teenage years, I danced. Early adulthood, I danced. And I had always done it for enjoyment, sometimes for precision, with choreography to perform. And when I arrived at Esalen 30 years ago, was the first time I had danced as a meditation practice, even when I didn't feel like it, or I didn't feel good, or I actually felt angry, and I learned self-expression through the medium of dance. and that gave me such an experience of freedom. And so it became an area of study, extended study. And at the time, Esalen had no movement program, so I created one, and I used it as my lab, it was my own studio with a never-ending supply of fresh new people. So over the years, realizing, especially when practiced early in the morning as a meditation, to come in the room and dance and to make sound, and eventually I added singing, and then I met Daphne and heard her voice and sang with her about 8 years ago and was lit afire, aflame, with inspired to combine singing and dancing with a real mistress of her craft. And that's what I've been focusing my creative energy on. And we led our first teacher's training, a retreat that included a module, and felt so good after it that the people who were in it from all over the world, it was in Bali, left there empowered. That's an important word in our work. Empowered to both move and dance, to sound and sing from the core of their being, and using breath, music or no music, retaining presence and not performance, magic happens, transformation occurs, tears may fall. And regardless of the experience, if we combine this singing and dancing with writing our own poem or writing our own song and then putting it into form, we'll say ritual theater at its finest occurs. And the transformation of what has been held in me, brought outward, becomes art, living art, and it becomes transformed in that process. And we are now offering this as an educational opportunity to women, particularly women. We never turn men away, for vocation. It is actually around the world spread so much, this free-form, expressive, conscious dance practice, that it is a viable vocational practice for women particularly. So that's what's got me going.
And how did you, when you first met, did you feel that same kind of connection, Daphne? And, you know, it kind of grew in you, and now that you're, you know, kind of working together on a consistent basis, you know, why don't you talk about what that means to you and what you feel it's doing?
Yeah, you know, before meeting Ellen, I didn't dance too much. I was always, and even before I started to sing in the mantra world of kirtan, I was definitely in the performance aspect of, you're a singer, you're a dancer, you know, and it wasn't like everybody can do this. And so within my meeting Ellen, having that permission that I'm a dancer and I can dance and move, and
or you're unlimited.
Yeah, you're unlimited, exactly. Unlimited in all aspects of creativity as an artist. And so for me, the other part of the dance and meeting Ellen and knowing Ellen and being inspired by her as a teacher, as a friend, as a mentor in my life, is owning all parts of ourselves and pulling those all back in and being able through the dance and through the music to express those parts. And for me, growing up in a big family as a middle child, I was very peacemaker. I didn't like to express anger, or it kind of freaked me out a bit. So to be able to I'm still working on that, but to be able to express that through the dance and not have any attachment to just letting it flow through your body has been very, very healing for me. So for me as a personal practice, working with Ellen in spirit dance, soul song, and then also bringing this practice to women, to men, to our communities wherever we're traveling, and giving people that permission to have that experience themselves.
And how does a song come in? Why don't you, maybe take us through a little, like, session, a start of a session?
Oh, so how does the song come into the
Yeah, voice and song come
So
into
we can start. You can start a session with the sounds of the vowels. Just making any sound. You get up in the morning and you yawn, and you make a sound, and a lot of times people feel a little uncomfortable. But I'll start my sessions with this, like take a nice yawn. Ah, just letting it out, letting whatever sound needs to come out first, right? And it gives people a little permission, like, oh, well, that didn't sound so nice, but she didn't care, so I'll do it too, right? And then we do, with working with Ellen, is the tapping and sounding the body, sounding the chakras with all the vowel sounds, ah, e, I, o, all the way up and down. And then we have, for me, working with the mantra has been really nice because it takes the mind outside of this song is right, this song is wrong. And just
am I singing it right? Yeah.
Am I singing it right? Am I singing it wrong? So even we even working with Om Namah Shivaya or any of the chants is for me is helpful to give people a place to just let the sounds come out, And then we have some songs that we love, like even something simple like "This Little Light of Mine, I'm gonna let it shine." The kids' songs are really move people because it's simple and people don't feel
childlike.
Very childlike, and that's what we, one of the kids, he's in his 20s in her group, and Esselyn was saying, "Whenever I'm around you, Ellen, you make me feel like I'm 6 years old again." He's 20, but still, it's like coming back to the childlike energy that we once enjoyed, and we forget. The kids can be a little crazy, but we can't roll down the hill, and we can't spin. And when we get into that place, Ellen's a big inspiration for me too in that way of coming back to being childlike again and enjoying the bliss and our body, being in our body.
Yeah, taking ourselves a little less seriously would be a good start. We were talking last night about all the identities we have and the habits and whatever you think you are, you're more, and we think of ourselves as so many things. Why don't you talk a little about that? I know we've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Can I say one thing? This morning we were at Bianca's place, and Ellen was spinning. She started spinning, and I first see a mom walk by, and it's like, watching her in the lawn, and then all these little kids started, like 3 kids came down the hill, one came up on her little bike, and they're all just watching Ellen spinning in the grass. I think they're probably thinking like, hey, that's what we do.
She's a Sufi master.
So anyway, that was a good reminder this morning, just to, wherever you are, you don't have to be in a perfect place to do any of it.
Right.
Sorry.
Yeah, I had a lot of grass, and that's just what
it
was
was lovely grass there.
And what I can say, when I fell in love with spinning as an adult, this was before computers, and I went to the University of California Library in Santa Cruz, really looking through every volume for references on spinning. Nada, nothing. And then I bought a CD, and the guru Osho had Rajneesh had 4-part meditation that included spinning, and then there was a written pamphlet within the CD cover about spinning. And so that was the only authority I had.
But aren't Sufis?
Well, yes.
You're going to come to that.
Then I realized that
I think that there was spinning at some
spin
point.
to the left. They fundamentally believe that's correct for good reasons for them. And then Tibetan monks spin, and they spin to the right 21 times when they wake up in the morning and 21 times before they go to bed. And they believe they are correct. So as I realized this, and then read Osho, and then followed my own energy, and observed kids, they don't check in. They don't read Osho or Guru or Rajneesh, or they don't follow Tibetan.
Probably don't count 21 times either.
They just run around in circles until they they lose control, and they fall down and giggle. And they do it again and again until they totter off to do whatever's next. And so observing that, I realized that adults don't do this because we're afraid to fall, because we usually fall.
And look stupid.
Right. But mostly it's fear of harming ourselves and then losing livelihood or life.
Right.
So losing control is a great fear. There are only 5 real fears in the world according to Buddhist philosophy. So I've developed it as a practice to help adults be less afraid of falling. So that's one sideline benefit. And spinning to the left, we're receiving energy that fills our energy cup. And then when we spin to the right, we empty it out. People who see auras and energy fields can see this happening if they really observe spinning. So that's one aspect of what we're doing that would come under the category of frolicking. We also move to the repetitive beat of the Native American drum or the African drum, which has a lot more 6/8 time. And there's a foot pattern that goes with each of those. And each of these takes us into a transformational trance, so to speak, a non-ordinary state of consciousness where change is possible without thinking about it. It reduces the arduous process of analysis. We say analysis is paralysis. Put your body into motion and your psyche will heal itself. Gabrielle Roth was one of my most inspired and inspiring teachers. I took her work into my pores like a sponge, and then out of that created spirit dance, inspired by Native American, who always chant. Every healer on the planet, shaman, curandura, ayahuasquera, uses sound and song to communicate at a cellular level deeply inside. Qigong masters, we're just really now beginning to take in the remarkable healing power of Qigong, the ancient Chinese wellness practice. And they operate on the philosophy that every organ has a sound and a vibration, and that if we keep our organs vibrating, density, which is where disease can land, cannot occur. So they sound their organs, they move to cultivate energy, they move in such a way to discharge energy if they have more than they need, and believing that all of our life force comes through the elements, the 5 elements, and comes from the creative source of all energy. So wellness practice eliminates the need for medicine. And I've been fascinated with this, and that it moves into dance, the dance of Tai Chi, which we then take further into the dance with music. We can rock and roll it. We can go into soul and rhythm and blues. We can have an enchanting voice like Daphne's come in. And really, her soul song, which is a felt experience within the permeable, malleable substance that is our soul, that gets contracted through life's daily issues and our big crises or traumas. And this is a non-dramatic way to release trauma and to create community. Communities all over the world, from the oldest that are known on the planet to those still intact today, use singing and sound for healing. So,
well, it's a vibration, and the vibration is, harmonizing and healing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, part of the soul song work for those that come and join us is finding that healing tool within themselves. One of the teachers we study with, Jonathan Goldman, talks about your voice, the sound of your own voice being one of the most powerful medicines for your own body. So even if you have a healer who comes in and works on you with their voice, if you actually use your own voice, the body obviously will respond, your own body will respond. And so that's why...
if you can get to your authentic voice.
Yeah, your authentic voice. And I think that with the permission of, with the mantra, which I found over this past 10 years or more working with it, is there's a place, one of the swamis I studied with from India talks about how we tie all these knots in the center of our heart and the back of our heart too, and the energy gets coagulated and stuck. And so when we sing these mantras, there's one that says Namaha, and Namaha is letting go of the ego, but also that Ha, the aspirated Ha, will untie a knot and untie another. And so it's all these energetic knots that get untied. So when you finish chanting, you feel this space and you feel this connection to your soul.
You're lighter.
You're lighter, yeah. I mean, I just had an experience with with a beautiful group at Esalen, and some of them said they hadn't remembered singing in that way for themselves. They couldn't remember the last time that they were relaxed
once
into it.
Once ego comes in.
Yeah. So when you let go of the ego and you just let,
all that stuff, I mean, everything starts going wrong and bad and tying up and.
Yeah,
you know,
so
creating dis-ease
exactly.
in every level.
So what Ellen said, coming back to the empowerment, empowering ourselves through the dance, through the song, and finding our own song and our own dance. So you know, Ellen's got hers, I have mine, you have yours, and how do we claim that back for ourselves instead of putting our healing out to doctors or other people we have to go to and ask, how do we heal ourselves? When we really stop and drop in, we can find that own healing through our own sound, through our own breath, the inspiration. So.
Well, find our own healing. All right, now you're talking. All right, now we'll see the second video, which is moving meditation practices in paradise. And, you know, before you go, because this is your last section here, you know, just thanks for coming and adding your love
for having
to this.
me.
Yeah,
so
very
wonderful
beautiful.
to be here.
But we'll be back with Ellen and then Yasmin, and we have more love coming. So beautiful video. Enjoy.
Waheguru, 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 Waheguru. 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 Waheguru, 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 Waheguru.
Hi everybody, welcome back. So that was a beautiful video. Thank you, Ellen, Yasmin. So yeah, welcome to the show. We'll get back. So thank you for that video, beautiful video. So we're here with Yasmin. Welcome.
Thank
welcome.
you.
And we're back with Ellen. And Ellen did these two beautiful photographs. So maybe before we talk to Yasmin a little, we'll talk about these photographs. Why don't you talk about, you know, what they are and how they came to you and what they mean to you?
These were filmed earlier this year in Bali, and this is, the top one is Agni, which means fire, Hota, which means ceremony, and it is part of a Hindu ritual brought from India to Indonesia. And you can see there are priests, and if you see it up close, you can see the detail in the background, and it is a ceremony for celebrating life and for burning away what has been troubling to individually, for community, for culture. And this is a ritual held in the round. That what you can't see there are all the people gathered round for this. And the lower one was also taken during a ceremony called Uga Uga. And what the Uga Ugas are is that on New Year's Eve, these larger-than-life papier-mâché creatures that represent the darker side of life, or evil, are built for 3 months prior to this evening by the men and boys of Bali. This is a Balinese ceremony. And they parade them through their villages at dusk, and then they are burned, metaphorically now, but one might be burned in representing that evil is taking a rest. And at midnight, all the lights go off and the cars stop running and the airplanes don't land, and until the next day, which would be New Year's, the day after New Year's Day, there is no movement on the island. No power comes on, no lights, no candles, and it is a time when family members meditate together in silence, welcoming the clean energy. So this represents community in that the men and the boys of a village build this for 3 months, and then it's their project. And it also is a ritual that allows transformation of what has been challenging culturally, environmentally, personally, or globally to be put into form and then go away. So both of these represent what is lost a lot in the West. We have rock concerts and football games or soccer, but we don't have much real ceremony left as rites of passage or honoring transition of season. This is a lunar culture also, that the moon determines their calendar. And I found that bringing me back more to my essence, the essential nature of what humanity is really after, which you mentioned in the intro, love, expression. And so what keeps the love door shut and how to open it is part of what Yasmin and I are doing in Indonesia. And we're doing it primarily through education, embodied spiritual practice. It could be massage, it could be yoga, movement, qigong, of bringing little people and medium-sized people and old people into the practice. And for young people, for people in their late teens and 20s, it becomes a vocational education, an actual means of shifting livelihood from menial work or unskilled labor to skilled labor, which exponentially increases income earning. It empowers, it allows one to go from one's village to a larger place if one desires, because the income scale is still so low in Indonesia that many people need to go off island to create meaningful work, and then they send it back home so they can afford to build a home. And so in our work together now, Yasmin and I for 5 years, and me on the island for 15, this has been one of the more rewarding aspects of what I do. And it literally bridges heaven and earth.
Wow. So how did you guys meet, and when did you first feel the connection with Ellen and wanting to be part of Moving Ventures and all the educational passions and dreams and bliss of Ellen?
It was a long journey. I met Ellen in 2007. That time I was working with the birthing clinic, Bumi Sehat Foundation in Bali. And I was located in Aceh, tsunami area. And I spent my time there about 3 years, but with the foundation 4 years. And I burned out. I don't know what I was doing anymore, but I felt I have the need to do more and more and more, until somebody said, tap my back, like, I know you want to help, but you can't do it on your own. You need 1,000,000 hands. And they transformed me into Ellen, and Ellen was providing this beautiful education. And we, 3 of us from Bumi Sehat, get us free education. And
this is when she was doing a workshop in Bali.
Yes.
Yes, okay,
yes.
got it.
And the minute I met her that day, I was introduced to Ellen Watson. I stood there, and I've forgotten how to smile. And when she smiled, I just go, I want to smile like her. That was my mission. And she opened that many, many doors for the next, until present time.
Mm-hmm. And so your dream now, your passion now, your bliss, what you feel is your service is to bring that smile and all that's behind that smile all over the world, but in particular to everywhere in Indonesia, poorer places. Why don't you talk about that?
I'm pretty privileged to be Yasmin and being Ellen's student. She allowed me to be who I am in my hard times, my research, and discovering myself. And when I realized my potentials, and she's like water, and I was just the seed, she kept watering me. And then one day I realized, oh my God, I'm a tree. I will grow to be a big tree and strong, and I'll be growing many branches. And I realized what trees is about. People can come when it's so hot. They can go underneath and shade and rest. And they can grow fruits where people can eat, whatever that aspect about trees in my philosophy. And then I realized, I looked around that there are so many others that still waiting, I would say, you know, and I keep doing what is called the little act of kindness, you know, sharing that, and what it is to be happy from the inside, and I see what trapped them. So little step by conversation, and you know, just even though just listening, and because she listened to me all the times, and you know, being in the group, you're not alone, and I don't want them to feel alone, you know. So I'm sharing what I've learned, what I've gained all these times in that process, that we all go through that process, to be trusted, believe that we can. That's what I believe in, that we can if we want it. And the challenge is just showing that how much we want it. And I tell them that you can if you want it. You have to believe in it. You know, and showing that, and education is so important, and I agreed. It's very, very essential in our lives.
Tell us about Pusat Saraswati, what that means and what it means to you.
Pusat Saraswati is my long project, and I've been big pregnant and just, you know, having all this. It's been perfect timing all these times. I've met so many wonderful teachers. Ellen brought to Indonesia to, you know, and I get to meet them and exchange ideas, and strangers on the street suddenly like, well, do you want to do this? Why don't you come and, you know, study with me, like permaculture? Suddenly, I flew to Hong Kong for 3 months studying permaculture. I know we have so many permaculture in Bali, but he was located in Hong Kong. He's one of the guys that really inspired me. Teaches me how to be touched ground with Mother Earth, how to respect food, the soil that grow that food. And Pusat Saraswati, basically a place. I'm in love with the youth of Indonesian children, Indonesian youth, and they are the generation of the new Indonesia. And I know our education system is not perfect, or let's say far from perfect. And I've seen many. There's very traps like you study, you finish your school. Basically, we have to finish 9 grades in junior high school. And after that, you can work or drop off. But many kids are not able to do it because their parents are so poor, they force the kids to beg on the street. Especially in Jakarta, they're even running around washing moving bushes for 1,000 rupiah is like a dime, like 1 cent. And when I witnessed that, and I go, why would you put so much in danger for such things? And it just hit me a lot, you know.
Do we have enough water on this?
We do.
Bring in the... So talk a little more about you know,
Yes.
you guys working together with education.
We visited a property that has been left relatively untouched, owned by an organization that we work with in Indonesia. And we both, when we walked on this property, had a vision for this Saraswati center. Saraswati in Hinduism is the goddess who represents education, art, music, literature, and she is revered by people. There are days in their annual calendar that they have a ceremony where they pray at each station, one for books, one for music, one for poetry, for flowers, for just beauty, senseless beauty. And we both realized this was a place where Indonesian people, combined with people coming from off island, from other cultures, could gather and either relearn or learn fresh the richness of the natural environment, of things that we now are beginning to eat again here, whether it's organic coconut oil, because of consumerism and advertising. Local people all over the world have been or become convinced that their local products are not good for them, that they need to buy what's advertised. And it not only isn't true, but it changes their economic situation because those are expensive. So it's a center for both learning English as a second language, for learning a vocational art such as bodywork, for learning to craft soaps out of coconut oil, to make oil for cooking, make oil for skin care, and learn permaculture. So embodied spiritual vocational education practice and a center for that. And what has also been inspiring for us is seeing the lifetime friendships that are forged. Whether we bring in someone who is materially wealthy and combine them with someone who lives in a family compound with 27 family members, and even if language is not easy, the nonverbal communication that takes place through touch, through singing, through dancing, through putting fingers in the dirt and learning to grow, bridges cultures, bridges socioeconomic, educational differences, and that vibration that's created through this harmonizing ripples outward. We have Muslims and Hindus and Christians and Jewish people and Taoist and Buddhist and Tibetan Buddhist and other Buddhist all coming together, and this fundamental belief that my way or the highway disappears if it was there in the first place. And that ripple effect moving off one island to all the other islands, and from the islands elsewhere, carried back to New York or to Berlin or to Hong Kong or Shanghai, then sets the seeds. And we've focused a lot of our programming on women because women have children and then their mothers and the girls and boy children learn and then they carry that with them. We never turn men away. And what we have experienced together is the fuel for what Yasmin and her generation want to carry forward.
And do you see a real openness in young people all over the world, but in particular in Indonesia, to really reach out and to work together, to collaborate is the word we use a lot, and to bring these new paradigms into being?
Well, if we see Indonesia geographically, it's a bit hard because we're based on 13,000 islands and we're scattered all over the place. But the new media bring us closer.
Yeah, right.
That before I felt alone, and then through that I realized there's so many people that actually have the same heart, the same love, the same missions. And I always believe that the more mushroom grows, the more we wake up and just basically vibrate that, And right now, the east side of Indonesia is having more challenges because transportation is not being supported that well. So it takes days and days, or you can probably visit the island like once a week. There's probably a flight, and I realized that not just that almost basically the government is located like centered only in Java and Bali because we the two islands that basically bringing so much in. So the other islands is having less access of education. So children sometimes don't even have books to study. This is what I discovered when I was in Sumatra or when I was in Lombok or in Sumba, the neighboring islands, that children have to walk for a long time, for 1 hour just to go to one school barefoot, no uniform. But the eagerness to learn, I almost spent time in Papua, which is West Papua New Guinea. I want to spend time with the jungle and teach children how to read and write. And I thought, not brainwashing them, but giving them an option. There is an option in life. And the Saraswati, Pusat Saraswati, will be a place they can still go to school normally. And after school, if they want to study with us, this is the children that come, let's say, 5 to 12 years old. That's basically the fresh mind, because right now, my generation either got caught up with the magazines or gadgets, right, fashions and all that. They basically, there's not other life except their life.
Well, we're coming to the end of this particular show, Mark. So, really thanks so much for sharing your bliss. It's really been beautiful. So if you want any information on Moving Ventures, call me, Alan, 805-687-2053. Good night. We love you. God bless you. Thank you.